the other thing I want to ask about is from a bed prep standpoint. So the lazy beds, I wouldn't raise up. I would probably
That's
look
these.
to, yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I'd probably look to do those directly in the ground. And then for those, and also for the orchard, so I didn't tarp in the fall. I don't have a lot of time left in order to tarp right now. Um, I can't necessarily put down cardboard either, just because it's kind of, windy and blustery. So it would it'd just be a nightmare to manage.
Yeah.
So in terms of starting new beds in the ground like that, what would you recommend from a groundwork standpoint?
Well, if I were you, I mean, I have a lot of things to say about the way you've got this garden laid out, actually.
Okay,
Especially if you want to maximize your production.
sure.
I would change it all, really. I would.
Okay,
I mean, so tell me first, what kind
yeah.
of wood? Do you have trees like you could cut down here in this forest area?
So that's wetland.
Oh
It,
yeah,
there's a, there's
it looks all like poplars and stuff like
it's
that, isn't
also
it?
it's also protected, right? So I can't really get in there and touch that.
Well,
I've
I
got
just
a
I just mean, do you have a wood's expensive right now, like
yes,
ridiculously expensive.
yeah,
The only reason I'm justifying building 40 3 by 16 foot raised beds out here that are 10 inches wide or 10 inches deep is because I just cut down 20 trees and I have a mill, so I can
yeah,
do it all myself. But if I were you, it's either buy the expensive wood or hire a guy with a mill to come and mill up some extra trees you wanted to cut down. But I would just build all raised beds
okay,
I think in this context, it makes sense too. Raised beds give you a lot of a jump start on the season too, because they're above the
mm,
frost line.
yeah,
They're above the wet. You can get in there quick. If I were you, I would try to standardize your beds more. There's a variety of reasons for that. One is if you have standardization, you can use the same row covers from one bed to the other. You only have to cut drip irrigation or however you're irrigating pieces in a standard way. It really makes it a lot less work. It means that you can move things around. It just gives you more options than when you have lots of like little, I mean, this can be fun for kids and stuff, but I'm just thinking cutting all the irrigation for all this, you're going to be cutting all these different size pieces. You're going to have so many different zones. Like you could take the square footage of these raised beds here and put it in probably 3 beds that are all the same size. And then you have standardization. You could put a
yeah,
greenhouse over it. You could, you've got more flexibility, because you don't have a ton of area to grow food in. And
yeah.
so,
Not out front, exactly.
yeah, and then that's the thing. Like you want to keep this for lifestyle, which I get.
Yeah,
Um, but so if you want to maximize production, like I can just tell you 100% without a shadow of doubt in my mind, the amount of square footage you have here is not even close to the amount of food you need to grow for a family of 4.
okay,
Not even close. You
yeah,
need to have a significant amount more, and you could get that by standardizing and intensifying things a bit more here. So it would be kind of like let's just do a kind of a quick drawing here. Move this thing out of the way, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. And I know there's some more context to take into consideration here. You might say, oh, this bed might not make sense there or whatever, but just let me show you for a second. I'm getting a bit of lag here.
yeah. I think and I do have the room for it on the property. I would just kind of use what I call my second pasture for that, for further intensifying.
Right. Yeah. But just basically, come on, where's this thing dropping for me? Where's my shape that I just made? Sorry, my kids are getting active here. Okay, here we go. There's a shape. So, basically to do longer beds, and let's say how long, just to give me an idea of reference, how long is this bed here, this one, do you know?
So each one of those cells, square cells, is a square foot.
Is a square foot. Okay.
Square foot. So, for example, the majority of the garden beds that I've got in there are 4x10s, not the long ones, but the ones that are boxed in. They're 4x10s.
These here.
Yeah, and the ones below.
Okay. Okay. 4x10.
Yeah, those are 4x10. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you did them.
That's probably 4x20.
That's probably 4x20. So
yeah.
let's call it. Let's call it maybe that's a 3x16, maybe.
Yep.
Okay. So in order to get a decent amount of production area, you really gotta intensify this. Like you need to have some serious areas, and so I would basically be cramming a lot more in as much as possible. You need to have, like I said around the beginning, you need to have like a serious amount of production to grow food, like especially and I'm just thinking, shit hits the fan kind of thing. You're aware of what's going on. You want to be prepared. With what you have right here in garden space, you're really only going to be growing and eating from your garden for probably 6 months of the year. If you want to eat year round, you have to have almost half of your garden, total square footage of your garden, dedicated to growing crops that will either overwinter or give you storage stuff to go through the winter, like onions.